We are here once again. This is Black Power Media, and this is the Remix Morning Show, in case you didn't know. And we are bringing it to you from the east to the west coast to worldwide, right here with that boom bap breakfast. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Dr. Jerry Ball. And Kamal K. Franklin.
Where the women at? Where they at? I understand. I was told there were going to be at least 2 women at this party.
I know, right?
I'm throwing my good look. I got my good sweatshirt on.
Hard leg central, boy. I tell you.
You know what I'm saying? I yellowed it up this morning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I thought I was, ready for the ladies.
You got your brute on and everything.
I got my my black Muir. You know what I'm saying? All that. Threw it on. I lathered it up.
What's good? Jared out there floating in space, man.
Should be doing a little Purple Rain.
It's an ever-expanding universe. That's how we know there was a Big Bang. That's how we know there's evolution, and that's how we know that this story of God is fake. So that's why I'm out here. That's how you know.
So I got a question for y'all atheists out there, since we started early. How do you explain, if there is no God, how do you explain catching the Holy Ghost?
Oh, there's a number of ways to explain that. That's a
spirit talking to you. You can't explain it. You can't explain it. Speaking of spirit,
we have someone who can answer that now.
We speaking of Jackie Luke.
Now let the party begin. Sorry, I stepped on your line.
Ain't nothing. What's good, Jackie?
What's up, Jackie?
What y'all doing? What y'all
waiting for you.
Waiting for you. That was literally all we were doing.
Waiting for you.
We talking about the spirit.
Yeah.
So I know you know, Jackie. I was just saying, like, for atheists, could they explain to me the Holy Ghost if there's no such thing as God? Because I see my mom catch it every other Sunday at church, and I was like, that ain't regular. You can't logistically explain that.
Haven't you ever heard some good music and you throwing your hands up and you like this? You know what I'm saying?
I think catching the Holy Ghost can be explained as a entirely man-made phenomenon.
What?
Wow.
There we go.
Jackie came harder than I thought. Look at Ear Doctor. Pick your face up, Ear Doctor.
Exactly.
First of all, the Holy Ghost ain't running from you that you need to catch him. He ain't like there's some people that the Holy Ghost might be running from because they don't want to be caught by them because they so wretched. But yeah, that I think is in most parts, in most instances, an example of the emotional expression of people's faith, whatever it is, and I think it's a combination of the music, because you notice how a certain type of music is played,
that organ,
right, and then all of a sudden, like 5-6 people, and it's the same 5-6 people in every.
My mom was not that 5 or 6.
But I catch the same thing at the go-go. I have the same experience people say that they have in church. I feel it. The spirit moves me. Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that every instance of what we see people doing, like catching the Holy Spirit, is inauthentic. I think that when you are in a worship experience, and I don't care what the worship is, I don't care what the worship of this, whatever spiritual, whatever it is, I think that sometimes it's authentic, but I think that there are equally as many times that when it's folks in church, it's just for show. It's just.
It's a dance off, son. It's a dance off at that point. It's a hip hop battle, son. It's a hip hop battle. You look
I'm
over,
telling
you
you
look
this.
over, one sister's got this, and then the next one is like she jump in the
They're
middle and she's
catching a
like,
snake. Yeah.
exactly. The
But you
wig
know,
comes
ear
off.
doctor, if you really wanted to test my lack of faith, you gotta catch me in moments like at the DJ Spinner Wonderful Party where Stevie Wonder shows up and they close the joint with Az. And in that moment, I felt God.
You felt it.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I think there are other ways to explain. I was just messing around. In all honesty, the whole point, the reference to the universe, I have been watching, doing some rabbit holing on like the Carl Sagans and the Stephen Hawkings and stuff like that. It's some fascinating and just very humbling discussions in terms of again the ever expanding universe, of which this is just but one. So again, my biggest regret about the unfortunate impending end of life is that I don't think I'm going to live long enough to get the answers, Sway. And I am very curious about what this universe is. And even when materialists raise the question, they even say they don't even want to consider time before what we now know of as the Big Bang, because there was no time before we know of as the Big Bang. And I can't even conceive of that. So I don't know what the answer is. I just don't believe in the conventional, narrated, So anyway, that was it.
All
it was
right.
just some fascinating stuff.
Before I get out of here, big up to Pat, new member. What up?
Welcome, Pat.
Welcome, Pat. My bad. Before you go, who's on that church team, I just wanted to throw out there, I've always wanted to have sex in the church.
You know what?
Man.
Now you have gone.
Oh,
now
man.
we've gone to.
Oh, man.
Jesus. Now you are the one the Holy Spirit is running from, because the Holy Spirit's like, I can't. What am I supposed to do with that? What you want me to do with that? I'm not touching it.
It's a bucket list. It's a bucket list request.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
No other house of worship except the church, probably.
I will say I'm not even gonna mess with
No,
that.
oh, wait a minute.
Rebuke him.
You got a story?
I will say that I have experienced that kind of epiphany in church.
Sex in the church?
Not set. Would you?
Well, you said epiphany. I thought you were giving a euphemism.
I
thought you were giving a euphemism for.
No,
my bad.
No, I have experienced that euphoria that's the word I was looking for that I couldn't pull down before in church. But I also experienced it in Cuba, where, believe it or not, if you ever get a chance to travel, folks, and you go to countries in the global south, you will see that the most revolutionary people are also the most spiritual people, usually, and traditional religion and ancestral religions, and just being in a liberated country around liberated people, celebrating workers. I was at a very, very secular May Day celebration, and I felt some Holy Spirit, crying, tears, shouting, all that. So across the board, it's spirituality is a fluid kind of thing.
Yeah, and Kamau is trying to make religion very fluid. He's trying to bring the fluids to religion, and that's the problem. Shame on you.
Just devilish.
Ing Oni Yama. Ingong Yama.
I feel better that I can't pronounce it either.
I don't know. I'm offended at the assumption that I have not read the book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night, otherwise known as the Book of the Dead. Of course, I've read that, actually, more than once. I am a well-studied atheist. Let's be clear. I've read significant portions of the Bible, the Quran, the Old Testament, or the Jewish Bible, and the Talmud. While we're talking about getting into the if you ever really want to know why you should be an atheist, read the text beyond the text. Read the Talmud. If you anyway. No, but my point is, I mean, I've put in some work to reach my conclusions, and that's why even with my own children, I keep saying I am less interested in where you fall with religion or not. I just need you to be studied in your conclusion. You can't be one of these, I don't read these books, but I believe in this stuff. If you believe your God wrote that book, you better damn sure read it and be an expert in it. That's my whole thing. So if you're going to be a Jew, you better read the Torah and whatever. If you're going to be a Christian, you better read that Bible and read it well. And the Muslims, same thing with the Quran and everything else. That was my whole thing. So I'm like, I'm a well-studied atheist. And if you're going to be an atheist, study this stuff. Read your Elaine Pagels and your, you know, all that good stuff. Read all that stuff, the Gnostic Gospels and all that good stuff. You know, you know.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't knock people for. I don't care what I say it all the time, and I absolutely do mean it. I honestly don't give a damn what you believe. I don't care if I don't. I'm not impressed with folks sitting around telling me that they believe this, that, or a third, or they are this, that, or a third, or they're not. I want to see what you do. I want to see how you treat people. I want to see what you think about this evil, capitalistic, white supremacist, settler colonial system. If you cool with that, then whatever it is you believe is shit. It's just garbage. I don't care. That's all I care about. And shout out to Ricky Ryan in the chat, who is in revolutionary Nicaragua right now.
Oh.
Yes, I'm so excited for her. I'm tingly excited for her because I cannot wait for her to share her experiences with us. And Nicaragua is one of the places that I want to be able to get to when all this kidney stuff is resolved and somebody throw me a new kidney and I can travel freely again. So, you know, Kamal, have you gotten tested? Are your kidneys worthy of me?
Every part of my body is worthy of.
Not interested in any other part of your body, but
just the kidneys.
Just the kidney. That's
just the kidneys.
That's just the kidney.
Okay. Just do it out there.
Okay. Do it. No, I understand.
I'll get tested for the kidney thing though. Only one, right? You don't need both.
No, I don't. No, they're not.
I can't speak for Kamal. I have a very different situation. This came up for me.
Your body parts. After the stories you've told, I'm just saying. You must have, unless you've taken a lot of water to heal.
I would get Jared's kidney and I would wake up tripping.
But I will say this:
but she's mumbling nonsense.
How did she come out of surgery drunk? Like, how did that happen? But this came up for me in a different context a couple years ago, and it was made very clear to me that whatever is remaining for me is to be saved in for emergencies for the children, and that's it. So I have been told by all the powers that be that you are not, you save everything and fix it, keep everything together just in case they need something, and that's it. So
that's a good point. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, Kamal, I won't take your kidney. You can. All right.
But Kamal, Mrs. Franklin is like, man, whatever. Give them joints of, like, if she need it, go ahead. Like, we'll cover our kids. I got a backup plan for the kids.
Can we get some money off of that? You out there playing revolutionary? Can you get some money?
What's a kidney worth in these streets in 2023?
True.
Anyway, let's. Hey, I may be an atheist, but let's put the good vibe out there to get that kidney that you need and all that good stuff. So whether you pray, put on vibes, whether you light up the incense and the sage, whatever your preferred methodology is, engage that joint. You know what I'm saying? Manifest that kidney. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, speaking of manifesting things that we may or may not need every once in a while.
Questionable.
Every once in a while you need one. It's the ear doctor.
Ear doctor here with your praise break.
I love gospel.
I know.
That's right.
I know.
Oh, indeed.
The best thing we got from religion is good music, boy. I tell
you ain't lying.
That's true. Can't argue with that now.
Man, some of the best have come out of the choir.
Is there a good singer that we know of who has not come out of the church? That would be that's the quiz. That's the test. Is there a good singer that did not come out of the church? Anyway.
What about Prince? Prince wasn't
He
known
was
for
a
being
seventh.
church boy.
I feel
Was
like
he
he was in the
Seventh-day?
church though.
That was
I feel
afterwards.
like-
He was a 7-Day Adventist, though.
I feel like I think he just went straight from like the playing the band into
His
rocking
dad was
out.
a
I never heard
musician.
about church.
All right. Well, I mean, there's always exceptions. He's the
Chat
exception
room.
to all the rules.
Chat room,
You know,
go
when
find
you the GOAT, that's what happens.
chat room, go find some information out on Prince and get back with us. But right now, since we're doing that, let's go ahead and take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Please make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, and all the buttons around there. That's sharing, Karen, and Karen sharing. And go ahead and go to patreon.com and drop some change in the bucket. Also, if you would like, go ahead and do a super chat, as they would say. All right, with that said, since we're talking about a little bit of super chat and things like that, who am I going to talk about? A little artist spotlight. Let's go right here. You know, before the Little Kims, before the Foxy Browns, you had one sister, and she went by the name of Lady Saw. Yeah. Also known as Marion Hall, Lady Saw, she was a singer and songwriter, and her career spanned over 2 decades. That's right. She was actually known as the Queen of Dancehall. She was the first female DJ to be certified triple platinum and Grammy Award winning artist. That's right. Straight out of St. Mary, Jamaica. She went to one of those primary schools, but you know, she didn't really get her career started off till 1987 when she first came out. And her mentor was Tenor Saw, which was another reggae performer, and he did his thing. But she came out with that, and then in 1996, she came out with another album called what was the next album? Give Me a Reason and Passion. And this one, she came out with some hard tunes. And after that, she just put out album after album after album. She had like close to 10 albums, but not even just reggae albums, because she converted over to Christianity, like a lot of, like Patra, for instance, converted over to Christianity and started dropping some Christian albums. So that's what she's doing right now, still on the Christian album thing, but she is very much known for causing a slackness in reggae music. When we talk about slackness, we talk about all them things of slack, and that's what it is. So let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew, because that's how we do.
Yes, when it come to working and greedy, if you know you're vertical and sturdy, don't bother call, come and check me. Load up my basket,
All right.
All right, right on.
I didn't know she went religious, B.
That's some shouting music.
I mean, really, before all that, you know, Little Kim and Foxy Brown talking all that sexual talk, she was doing it. She been doing it. And you know, a lot, I always say reggae, I mean, hip hop started in Jamaica and made its way here. So a lot of the MCing and chatting about this, that, and the third, they've been doing it.
Kamal's giving you the skeptical look
Go ahead.
right now.
Act like half of Jamaica ain't in Brooklyn, and then we'll talk.
True.
Word.
I give that up.
So that's your artist spotlight for the day. I will catch you on next break. Peace.
Right on. Thank you very much. Right on. All right. Well, good people. Should we slap that map? Get right into it.
Slap the map.
Slap it at that. Slap it. Can we start with a petty report?
Yes, Chief Petty Officer.
Well, because I watched a good portion of Kamal's recent interview with FD Signifier, and as Kamau makes these big platforms. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second major interview in a row where you have not mentioned BPM. And I feel like a kind of way. I feel petty about it. And I feel like this is how petty it got. I'm watching the video only to see if you mention BPM. That's how petty it got.
No,
and
so you're watching for the cop stop Cop City.
Well, I feel like I got the Cop City analysis. I feel like I got that from you. I feel like I got that. You know what I mean? You know, I be listening to you. And when you out here doing these interviews, I be watching. You even got me watching outlets I have been in a personal boycott against for years. You know what I'm saying? In solidarity. And I just keep waiting. And I'm like, nope. And then I'm like, okay, here you go. FD about to hit him with the closeout. Thank you, Kamau. He's with this and that group and this group and that group and nothing. And
you know what Kamau looked like not mentioning BPM?
Oh boy.
No.
Dude, because even at the end, FD is asking, he's like, you're a journalist, right? You can count yourself as a journalist. And I was like, oh, here you go. He about to say, yeah, you can get my journalism on BPM every day, weekly, daily.
That would have been a good one. That would have been good.
He was like, nope. So anyway, I just had to start with that because it is a fact. It is a fact. I acknowledge, I embrace the petty. And now that I have this childhood psychological report, I have all the origins and explanations of it. So
I will do better. I know better now. I will do better. I think both you and the Air Doctor have given me good ways to bring in that segue. I will make sure, even in the liner notes, I will make sure it's in the liner notes.
Just get yourself a shirt. It's easy.
Every time he does an interview, just wear the shirt.
Just wear the shirt. Get the little, like they got the American flag, like everybody, they make them wear an American flag now. We need, BPM lapel thing. Be like, where's your BPM?
So we have uniform requirements now.
We should. If I was the dictator of this platform, I would have handed them out already. It would have been like when you get hired at the restaurant, you get your apron and your ball cap, your shirt. You know what I'm saying? You get your flare. That's it. Like an Office Space. Get your flare. Where's your flare?
He too busy trying to show off his new shirts from Ross.
Oh my God. What is happening today?
Damn. Anyway.
Some kind of spirit is up in here. Oh my God.
No. I just cleansed the petty. It's all good. It's all good. The reality is, though, the reality is, to be perfectly fair in my pettiness, is that Kamau is very good at these interviews. I think there is a skill set that you have to have. And Kamau, you do a good job. So I'm like, you getting all this good analysis and this information, and I want the association by, I'm selfishly trying to get the association by whatever.
I know better. I'll do better. And yes, I do have shirts. I just like these shirts. I don't know why people don't like my gear, B. It's like tight, but not too tight.
Look, we should get some BPM polo shirts. Get some BPM button downs. Get the little joint for Kamau so he can feel good about his little with a little.
I do need a polo shirt. Yeah, I would wear the polo shirt.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. His professional BPM gear.
It would be a little light-skinned dude on the horse. Is that what the logo would be?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
A little light-skinned dude. A little
looking
this
like
needs to be fitted so I can have it so that the muscle can pop.
The one muscle.
Oh, this is a good idea. We should have a. That's what I would do if I was the dictator of this joint. We would have a soccer, and it would say soccer jersey. That's like football jersey. Anyway,
nice. Anyway,
right, I dragged this into the petty
news.
Look, I know, and we only and I'm just seeing it late. My bad, Jackie. I wouldn't have wasted that time if I had seen it sooner. I know you got to dip at 9, so I would have.
Where are you going?
We've got an interview at 9:00, which I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do here. The team for the International Tribunal on Imperialism We're going to be talking to them on By Any Means Necessary today, and I'm hoping to grab them for a segment here on Black Power Media, and hopefully a longer interview on Lukman Nation. So stay tuned for that and a couple of other things. But in the news department, I'm sure we have heard about, excuse me, the classified documents that have turned up now in Joe Biden's possession, or at least when he was vice president. CBS News reported Monday that Biden's personal attorneys found about 10 documents from his vice presidency while they were cleaning out an office at the Pennsylvania Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement in Washington. The White House counsel's office told the National Archives about the documents, which were discovered in a locked closet later that day, and that's according to the White House. And this is news because obviously one of the things that Donald Trump is being accused of is willfully, knowingly, and willfully just straight up snatching documents from the White House and keeping them at his Mar-a-Lago property and refusing to turn them over until the FBI and a contingent of agents from the National Archives came and got them. And people now are making a distinction between these documents that were found not at the White House from Joe Biden's vice presidential tenure and what Donald Trump did, because they're saying that, because Biden's lawyer said that the documents found in Biden's property's possession were not the subject of any previous request or inquiry by the archives. Since the discovery, the president's personal attorneys have cooperated with the archives, and the Department of Justice is in a process to ensure that any Obama-Biden administration records are appropriately in the possession of the archives. And they're saying that because Biden and his attorneys are cooperating and Trump and his attorneys did not, that it's not the same thing. But I think that's garbage. But of course, and this source is from MSNBC, which is obviously, we could call it MSDNC. They say that indeed, if the Biden camp's explanation is true, they're already taking it as true, then it's immediately obvious that there's a difference between the Biden and Trump situation, just from a common sense standpoint. I thought we were talking about the law here and not just common sense, but that's just me, because a recurring theme in the Trump investigation is his failure to turn over documents to the government after being asked for them, while Biden didn't even have to be asked, because, Biden is a saint. Specifically, they talk about the law now. The law can be used, and this is Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 793E. They say that specifically the law can be used against a person who willfully retains such material and fails to deliver it to the office or employee of the United States entitled to receive it. They say that Biden appears to have done the opposite of willfully retaining and failing to deliver documents. I don't know how they can come to that conclusion when they don't know what when they don't know why the documents were not handed over to the National Archives at the end of the Obama-Biden administration in the first place. From what I can see, I don't see how they can surmise or conclude that Biden didn't willfully retain these documents, because they were just found now. And we don't know what the situation was that caused these documents not to still be in the White House from the Obama-Biden tenure. So just another example, I think, to me, of the hypocrisy coming out of the White House and the media connected to the White House, and that's
so. But Jackie, real quick, I'm behind on this and a little confused. I think. Why no? the controversy, other than the difference in what Biden is claiming versus Trump claims, is what are the documents supposed to be containing?
Well, see, that's the thing. When we're talking about documents that are the property of the White House, all of those documents are supposed to be turned over to the National Archives.
Okay.
All presidential documents, all documents from presidential and vice presidents are supposed to be turned over to the National Archives so they can keep it for posterity and all that kind of stuff.
So it's not a question of a specific it's not a question of them containing a specific sensitive issue. It's just the fact in general, none of those papers should have been there in the first place.
None of those papers should have been there in the first place. And
because they're classified. Got you.
Right. And if you expand that to the way the federal government governs their documents, any federal government employee is subjected to the rule that government documents cannot be in the personal possession of federal employees. Like, you can't even, if you are a federal employee or a contractor, you are not supposed to send an email about government business on your personal computer. You can't share and transfer government documents through your personal means. You can't take documents home unless you receive specific written approval from your supervisor. Those are the rules that govern the federal government and all of their documentation all the time. So the fact that there are documents from the time when Biden was the vice president that belonged to the federal government, that were the property of the White House, that should have been turned over to the National Archives at the end of the Obama-Biden administration, and somehow they weren't, and they just managed to end up, because see, that's how documents get to these presidential libraries. The National Archives kind of goes through them, picks, removes the ones that are, sensitive to national security, and then approves the other ones that can go to the public, to these, to these presidential whatever. So,
but the story does get a little juicier.
Apparently. Nice. Yay.
So apparently the story gets a little juicier. So this is from CNN Politics. Exclusive U.S. intelligence materials related to Ukraine, Iran, and UK found in Biden's private source tells UN. Source tells CNN. So the story, they're not telling you exactly what's in the documents, but discovered the office last fall of 10 classified documents, including U.S. intelligence memos and briefing materials that covered topics including Ukraine, Iran, United Kingdom, according to a source familiar. So my interest is whether or not they also say anything about Hunter Biden or oh, wait a minute. The vast majority of items in the office contain personal Biden family documents, including materials about Beau Biden's funeral arrangements, condolence letters, and sources told CNN it's not clear if the boxes with classified documents contain personal materials. So I think it does begin to matter, again, the more the story unravels, what exactly was in the documents, because whether or not, again, frail Joe accidentally slipped a few documents in with some personal artifacts, potentially it could be a bigger story where he took documents related to his son and how his son got that contract, although in Ukraine, although he had no experience whatsoever around oil. That's worthy of potential investigation. I mean, at the very least, we know Trump never read anything he took, but he just took everything, because that's what a Trump would do. So I think, so I agree. It's on one level, it's just about the documents being taken, but I think until there's further investigation, as they say, or interest in the story, then it's also interesting whether or not the materials that were taken, what was involved, what was taken, what was in those materials.
So CNN, thanks for sharing that, because I was not aware of that. That is really juicy and fantastic. So CNN is saying that there are boxes of documents. Is that accurate?
I think they're just saying that within the documents that were taken, these are some of the topics that were discovered.
And
So again, I
see,
think it's early in the story, and the White House, and like you said, the media that's friendly to the White House is trying to get ahead of the story and put out their own narrative of what, these were unimportant. He didn't know he had them. Look, they're working to get them back. But if you dig a little bit, you never know what might be in them. So I think we just have to keep covering this one. And again, I'm interested in what pertains potentially to Hunter Biden, because I think, again, even though it's some of it is a right-wing hit job to get back, I still think it's a real story to
it's a
ask
real
the question
story.
about why any son of a political leader gets a multi-million-dollar contract with a foreign government. It's only about access that they would get that, and so to act as if somehow that's normal and shouldn't be talked about or shouldn't be investigated or shouldn't be part of the political news, it's ridiculous. So,
but I don't even think we should give the room. I think you're being kind in saying, in recognizing that some of the criticism of Biden is just a right-wing hit job. When I think the claim that it's a right-wing hit job is meant to protect liberals from being criticized for the fact, for instance, of running a candidate whose only platform was "I'm not Trump." And this is kind of what you get. It's like, because I feel like, from their perspective, they're saying, look, I don't give a damn what he did. He's not Trump.
Right, exactly.
And again, I think so I don't know to what extent this is going to play out in the next cycle for the next Democrat, but I think it's it's kind of like, so yeah, we all should be kind of more than just kind of curious about what is there and what did Hunter do and how is Biden using his position to get his son jobs and all this kind of stuff, if for no other reason, just to remind folks that this is not Trump was not the divergence that people claim or wanted to claim. So anyway, this is fascinating. I look forward to the next reveal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that CNN actually revealed that one of the things that is some of the material that's in this cache of documents is related to Ukraine, because remember that I told folks a few months ago that in the Obama administration, Joe Biden was literally handed the folder on the plans for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this, John McCain and Victoria Nuland and Jake Sullivan going to Ukraine and meeting with the far right politicians and their violent neo-Nazi henchmen, planning the plans to arm the right wing to support them during the Maidan coup. All of that was in the works under the Obama administration, and Biden was the one who was responsible for seeing those things through. So I'm very interested to find out what those documents on Ukraine, what they say, because if they are the blueprint for this coup or the coup in 2014 that led to what's going on in Ukraine now,
that would be pretty dope. But that would fly in the face, Jackie, of the Putin is bad narrative that we're just supposed to follow.
Yeah,
that's
the one foreign what do they call these social media influence campaign? That's the one social media influence campaign that actually worked. Russiagate. That's the only one that actually stuck. And thank Hillary Clinton and the DNC for that.
Wow. Yikes. All right. Wow. Okay. Anything else you wanted? Did you want to bring up anything else? You got?
No, I was just tickled by that. Now I'm even more
fascinating.
tickled.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Kamal, you got something you want us to get to?
Yeah, I mean, we were going to cover this. I think Kim had this for yesterday, and so I want to do a little bit on the couple of stories, international stories that I think we should talk a little bit about. One of them is, and I'll start here with just a picture from Twitter. So why aren't U.S. media covering massive protests in France over inflation and cost of living? And so a few days ago, let me see if there is some real sound. drum beats and so forth. So literally, the Yellow Jackets are back. And this looks to be tens of thousands, if not 100,000. There's no way for me to really tell, but a huge demonstration about social inequity and pensions happening in France. And so one part of the coverage that I did find, let me bring that up real quick, is talking about I kind of like the noise in the background, the shouts in the background. I might leave that up. So Macron unions head for French pension reform showdown. So these are tied to the fact that Macron is again trying to change pensions. Macron, who came in as a classic sort of neoliberal politician, is again trying to cut social costs. The French should work 2 years longer to age 64 before retiring, the government said on Tuesday, announcing an unpopular pension system overall that immediately prompted unions for strikes and protests. The right to retire at a relatively young age is deeply cherished in France, and the reform will be a major test of President Macron's ability to deliver change.
I'm sorry, what was the age change you just read?
2 years from retiring at 62 to 64. So that's what Macron is putting on the table. And that has caused one thing that has kind of stirred back up the demonstrations that were happening, I think about a year or so ago in France. And they said, like, so it's something that French have cherished and liked, is the fact that you get to retire a little earlier than the rest of the world with a full pension. The reform passage through Parliament will not be easy. Macron's government says it is vital to keep the pension budget out of the red. Unions argue the reform is unfair and unnecessary. Says nothing justifies such a brutal reform. Leaders of the moderate reform-minded CFDT union said, and further, just to read a couple more, said, I'm well aware that changing our pension system raises questions and fears among the French Prime Minister Born. I told a news conference shortly before, we offered today a project to balance our pension system, a project that is fair, she said, adding that French had to face reality. And so, France is doing that, and folks are fighting back. But again, mostly you're not getting coverage of this issue as a major social upheaval in French, something that's threatening the French form of government. People in the streets fighting back against the French government. Those narratives are not being told in Western media for the most part. But it's something to take a look at, because obviously we know these demonstrations have a history, particularly against Macron, who has come in and done several acts of cutting the budget, particularly around either social programs or things which have sort of been held up as things that the government pays for in order to reduce those costs, at the same time attempting to reduce the taxes of large corporations and so forth. So yeah.
62 sounds great. 64 doesn't even sound as bad as, because I think the last I checked, I think I got to go to like 65 or 66 or even maybe 67. And I'm not good with that. I'm trying to quit now, like yesterday. So good for them for making some noise about it to retain the spoils of all their colonial theft. Like, you know what I mean? Like, good for them. Like, fight for that. You stole it fair and square. So, redistribute that.
And I think it's ingrained here that here in the United States, that, we're supposed to work until we're very old. At this stage, 60, people don't really retire at 65 because Social Security, and people don't even get pensions anymore. Whether those are full pensions from government or pensions from private industry, because all that's been cut out. And so we're being conditioned to think that we just have to work until 70, 75, 80, 85. Whereas other folks, again, in Europe, which has a social welfare system, which I will say unions, and obviously true, they've colonized and gotten those resources through a certain avenue. But again, a left pole in Europe has continually fought for more, that the government is now slowly, different governments are slowly attempting to take away. And so they're not conditioned to be working until 70, 75. They're like, we fought long and hard for this stuff. And there is demonstrations on the street to try to retain it.
I mean, we're encouraged here to take it as a point of pride. Like, you're supposed to want to work.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? Just rot away and do nothing? And just, you know, I mean, that's crazy. I can't wait to not have to go to work again. Like, I'm like, that's one of the few things to look forward to when getting older. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know,
Yeah,
so
feel good stories about elderly Walmart greeters, you know, getting the wonderful GoFundMe's or whatever from customers.
Exactly.
That's supposed to be something we're supposed to aspire to in retirement. Maybe one day you can be the subject of a feel good story too. Working the counter
so
at McDonald's at 75.
They gather around and give you a birthday cake because you're working at 75 years old. And it's like, great employee.
I
fact,
feel like, yeah, go. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say really quickly, like, I mean, that's the age range of 50 and over that places like McDonald's has decided to switch to. Right, those fast food places are hiring now older folks, people close to retiree age, as opposed to hiring 17 and 18-year-olds and stuff like that. And what does that say about the economy?
I feel like the older I get, the more prone to crime I become. So if you see me,
what you gonna do?
I'm just saying, I don't know. If you see me in a vest in a McDonald's joint in 70s or whatever, or in walking in Walmart in my 70s, you better believe I'm plotting something. Something's about to happen. You should probably leave. I mean, I just can't. I mean, I just can't imagine being, you know, having to do those kinds of jobs at that age. And I don't believe anybody's doing it, or they shouldn't be doing it unless they legit want to. And if that person does exist, then go ahead. But I think for the most part, people are fronting because they have to, obviously.
Right.
And that's just ridiculous. And
that's the thing too. They keep you away from the cash these days. Just to go a little further with that, is you can't even get to the cash register. One, because all that is being automated. Two, it's all cards. So it's hard unless you're getting card numbers and social. So the only good way to get it is that you got to be in the stock room now, and you got to make sure some boxes don't get delivered to the right place. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I see Nathaniel. You said you work with a 70-year-old. I remember years ago when I was doing dishes in a restaurant, and it was like a 70-year-old man in there with me, and I was like, that's not going to work. Like, I'm already complaining and ready to quit and commit crimes and this is not a sustainable employment situation. I'm not doing this day in and day out for, you know what I mean? Like, something's going to give. And I'm like, so yeah, it's ridiculous. So good for them. And I hope they make more noise and make more of a fuss. And of course it can't get reported, because then people over here would start asking the same questions.
Right. Like, why aren't we
Wait a minute
protesting for what we ain't getting? What?
Like 62 they get to retire with
62.
It's like they get a pension. Wait a minute. What? First of all, whole generation of folks would be like, wait a minute. First of all, what exactly is a pension?
Is a pension?
Exactly.
What they angry about? Oh, that's what
pension. Pension. Who's cussing on my TV? You know, that family, that P word. God dang it. Pension. Retirement. The R word. Get that nonsense out of here. You better get somebody a Walmart vest.
Oh, hey, real quick, before I run, I'm glad I saw somebody reminded me of this. Over in Colombia, there has been an attempt on the life of Vice President Francia Marquez that was foiled when her security team found a pretty large explosive device on the road that leads to her home in Yolombo, in Suarez and Cauca in Colombia. This is not the first attempt on Francia Marquez's life. There was a bomb that was, I think it was detonated at an event where she was whisked away. No one was hurt. There were other attempts on her life, and this tracks with what we have been saying, that she is the threat. Gustavo Petro, yeah, it's great that he is progressive-ish, and he is no radical by any means, but she is the person that the right in Colombia, and certainly the United States, does not want to succeed him. So there's been another attempt on her life. She is fine. She is safe. There have been organizations that have put out a couple of statements. I know the Black Alliance for Peace, the Haiti and the Americas team is working on a statement, but just wanted to bring that up, that we need to keep eyes on Colombia, and protect Francia Marquez at all costs, because they are coming for her.
And what is so you're saying that she's the threat? So what is her relationship with the president?
Well, she is the vice president,
right? That's what I'm saying. So, like,
right.
are they at odds politically,
no,
overtly,
they are
or
not at odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she is just more left than he is.
Mm-hmm.
She is seriously radical. So should she ascend to the presidency after his term successfully, then the pink tide in Colombia, and I love how James Early described the pink tide as like the thing in between the red tide of full socialism and the other end, which is neoliberalism. The pink tide is like that intermediary step, that in between step from neoliberalism to full out red socialism. Francia Marquez would represent a red tide in Colombia. So that's what they don't want. Absolutely.
Right on.
So sticking to the theme about what's happening, I think, are we going to do a quick break first? I see the doctor coming on.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to take one in a couple minutes. But if you want to, we can come back to it.
Yeah, we could do it because we didn't get to talk about. We talked about some stuff happening in South America the other day, but we did not get to. And I think I'm going to probably mispronounce Palin's Ghost, who's in Peru as we speak, and who may, I think that's been put out there when they return or at some point agree to come on and give us some more inside coverage. But the death toll in Peru rises to 47. And that's 47 people killed by government forces, of folks who are protesting against the basically removal and overthrow of Peru's president, who was a left president, or along the spectrum of the pink tide that Jackie is talking about. And remember, this story broke a few weeks ago when Congress decided to remove the former president, claiming that there was corruption. Congress, which was controlled by right-wing forces, and those right-wing forces, and then he decided, Castillo, I believe, to dissolve Congress, and that became a big uproar where both those who were liberal and right decided that was too much and to remove this president, even though the Congress is controlled by right-wingers who were looking for a way to get rid of this particular president. The vice president came in, who was also supposed to be an ally of Castillo at the time, his vice president, but has sided with, but obviously was also fighting for power, had sided with the military, sided with Congress, decided to remove. But the people, particularly indigenous people in Peru, have risen up and said, we picked this president. This president has only served a year, and since the removal have hit the streets in different areas, in different places. And that has led to the government bringing out the military, which has led here, as the story says, to upwards of 47 people killed in Peru. Most of those folks, or a good number of those folks, are indigenous people, again, who are protesting against the ouster of the leftist president.
Yeah, and over in the chat, that's really, really cool. Yeah, Peelin's Ghost is in Lima, and they can come on tomorrow. So let's do that. Let's definitely because I'll reach out and we'll set a time and we'll have Peelin's Ghost on tomorrow and we'll talk about this, get some on the ground coverage of what's going on in Peru, and that will be a prelude to something else that Jackie Lukman is about to do on the international news front. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
All excitement all day here at BPM. So, and an all-inclusive community reporting network with correspondents all over the world. Right on.
This is so dope. This is just great. So now maybe we can convince Ricky to come on too while she's out. No pressure, just saying.
Yeah, lots of pressure. Get on the screen. Ricky ain't shy. Where's the kid? Is the kid is there a child with her? I need to know all the details. What's happening? Ricky, let us know. Let us know. You got babysitting? What's happening? Anyway, we'll find that out. But right now, we want to bring up the ear doctor.
Listen, when Ricky Ryan come on, I'm gonna play a Caribbean mix, a soca mix. So that's what she always talking about. If she come
finally get one, she had to go all the way to Nicaragua.
Yeah,
that soca mix.
Exactly.
Wow.
Hold up, she getting special mixes. Hold up now.
Yeah, it's too much.
Just doing too much now. Come on now. We get all amped for a little echo when we show up. Now she getting special mixes.
Yeah, you know what? Let me reel it back. You right about that.
Give her a mix. Don't be. Give her a mix.
Hey, come do BAP little segments to let us know what's going on with BAP. And then we'll talk about it.
But I'm cool with that. I think that's a fair trade-off. If you do an international correspondence drop on location, you could get a mix. I think that's pretty fair.
I think so. I think that's good. That's good. All right, y'all.
Jackie?
I gotta roll.
Oh, look at. Why am I the petty one? Why am I? All right, Jack. You say.
Well, let's take a quick break right here, right now.
Couldn't save France
on the Remix Morning Show. Yo. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and you are here. I'm here. We are here. Make sure you hit that like button. We got about 234 people right here live watching. So go ahead and hit that like button while you are here. With that said, I wanted to do another artist spotlight and talk about how they influenced me, but I wanted to take y'all to the Ear Doctor's brain so y'all can see how I think about certain things. So I'm up here DJing, playing this.
Nipsey Russell, do the hustle.
All right. So you see that's nice and smooth. You talk about Nipsey Russell, do the hustle. So I was like, yo, what about Nipsey Russell? Nobody ever talks about Nipsey Russell. So then I was like, let me see what Nipsey Russell does. So then I seen this.
Hurricanes are named after women because they work on the very same plan. Start up over nothing, make a whole lot of noise, and can't be controlled by man. That's it. 50% of married women cheat on their husbands. That's what the researcher claims. Percentages don't mean a thing to me. What I need to know is some names. I went to see the doctor to get a Viagra pill. Now I'm on the run with a loaded gun and can't find nothing to kill.
And I said, this dude was like the Rudy Ray Moore out here, man. He up there rhyming and doing this, that, and the third. But I was like, oh, dope. So Nipsey, also known as Julius Russell, but his mom just named him Nipsey because she liked the word. But back in, he was an actor, comedian, poet, dancer, known for his appearances on game shows from 1960s all the way to the 90s. He was on like Match Game, Password, Hollywood Squares, Pyramid. And he was also, don't forget, he was in The Wiz as the Tin Man. That's right. He was in The Wiz as the Tin Man. And he did a lot of different roasts, like the Dean Martin celebrity roast. But he got a lot of shine with Late Night on Conan O'Brien. So he's straight out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he actually got his start off by doing comedy at the Varsity. The Varsity is like a burger joint where you just roll up and, you get people their food like back in the day drive-ins. But, that's how he got his start. He would do comedy there, and then next thing you know, he started hitting the clubs. And then after that, he started appearing on all types of TV shows, the Ed Sullivan Show. But he also got with a dancer called Mantan Moreland. And if you was to watch, what is it, Bamboozled, actually Tommy Davidson and Savion Glover did the back and forth routine that Mantan and Nipsey Russell used to do. So, like I said, he's been in a lot of TV shows, a lot of game shows. He recently, well, not recently, but back in 2005, he died dealing with cancer at the age of 87 in New York City. But yo, give it up to this brother right here, who was one of the first black performers to become a regular panelist on a daily network game show. That's right, Nipsey Russell, do the hustle, yo cock diesel, flex your muscle. And that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. Now let's get back to our host. Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. He used to pop up on a lot of shows that, like Love Boat and stuff like that too, so right on. Yeah.
Game shows. He was the safe Negro. He's always safe to be around. I felt that, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know if he's got any skeletons in his closet, but he was really just safe. He projected that.
He was pre-Wayne Brady.
Yeah, he was exactly.
Oh, wow.
He was the prototype.
Word, that's what it is, man. So big up to Nipsey Russell. That's what it is. To catch you on the next break.
Didn't you see the Chappelle sketch where Wayne Brady let you know what was up? Keep messing with me. He going. And by the way, speaking of Kamal's wardrobe, I just want to let everybody know I was, rocking the BPM t-shirt. It got a little chilly in here, so I pulled out the hoodie, the BPM hoodie.
You got the BPM hoodie?
Yeah, man.
How much of this? How many goddamn wardrobe did you buy?
I have been buying pieces of everything. I got the backpack, I got the mugs, I got the t-shirts, I got a sweatshirt, I got another long sleeve joint. I got the remix backpack. I'm out here rocking BPM on the regular.
Right. I gotta get some gear up. I gotta get my gear up. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, but shout out to rest in peace to Nipsey Russell. You know what I mean?
You got any stories you want to run?
I do. I have one, because I can't stay away from my good people at Wall Street on Parade. Quietly, again, one of my favorite websites. And this story I thought was fascinating from the other day. JP Morgan Chase hit with lawsuit for facilitating Jeffrey Epstein's crime network. Similar charges were brought against it for facilitating Madoff's Ponzi scheme. So what I don't know off the top, I think there's some legal representation overlaps with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX as well, which would give JP Morgan sort of a trifecta in their involvement with some of the biggest scandals and protection of some of the biggest scandals and criminals in recent history. But here, making headlines around the world last week was the news that Attorney General of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Denise George, was fired just days after she filed a federal lawsuit against JP Morgan, charging it with facilitating the sex trafficking of children by Jeffrey Epstein. George was fired by the governor of the Virgin Islands, Albert Bryan Jr. Unfortunately, these headlines and the mainstream news articles that accompanied them failed to capture the worst parts of the story, which includes the following. The 30-page lawsuit filed by Attorney General George on December 27th in the Federal District Court of the Southern District of New York includes a sealed document placed in vault, according to the docket sheet in the case, after the paragraph headlined, "As JP Morgan ignored obvious red flags relating to Epstein's accounts, large segments of the lawsuit have been redacted with black lines covering full paragraphs. Pages 15 through 22 of the lawsuit are completely white with no black line redactions and no text." That is like the super gangster. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're not even going to show you blacked out lines. We just going to give you a blank paper. You want my files, motherfucker? Here's a blank page for that ass. That is just so gangster. I love it. Anyway, just real quick, with no black line redactions, the case has been assigned to Judge Jed Rakoff, who lately seems to be the only judge in that large courthouse that is allowed to oversee sensitive matters pertaining to JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the U.S., which has a rap sheet that reads like the Gambino crime family and which has racked up 5 criminal felony counts to which it is pleaded guilty. And they've been covering this for a long time. So I just think it's just another fascinating example of how you can't, like the late John Judge used to say, someone I had a great deal of respect for. You can't have organized crime without organized police. So you again, the whole thing, whatever excitement I felt around the Epstein trial was in the slight hope that one of those threads would get pulled and we would see some, but of course not. No. So this is just another example. I mean, because again, on the long list of Epstein crimes that never really gets discussed is money laundering. And I kept wanting to ask, whose money are you laundering?
And who's doing the laundering? I mean, Jamie Dimon is like Teflon Don around here. This dude has survived without, again, like, you know, he has good standing in the banking community, obviously as a person who, I mean, wasn't he the one that did the kneeling at the vault
in front of his vault? Like, again, forgive my language, but it was just such an obvious niggas, you not getting no money ever. I will take all the knees, but look at my vault locked and full. I was like, wow. And as he said, five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 charges, federal charges. They pleaded guilty to.
He just like, here's the dough, leave me alone. Here's the dough, leave me alone. In fact, I'm just giving you back the money you gave us at the Great Recession. So he's
getting pulled over and making it rain. Like, yeah, I take a ticket. Yeah, I got a charge. What? I mean, it's just. So no, yeah, I love those stories, man.
No one ever says anything. I don't think there's never been any investigation of Jamie Dimon. There's never been anything that sort of tracked a long career, like you said, felony indictments of the company that he's been the head of for decades now. You know what I mean? It's like nothing touches that dude. So
I mean, who can get 5 Fed charges on him and keep walking? I mean, that's like you said, Teflon. He is the Teflon guy. He outdid what's his name, right? Oh boy, how many cases? He didn't beat 5.
No, he didn't beat 5. No,
and he never pled guilty. He didn't plead guilty to 5 charges either.
Yeah. And never even a question of whether or not, as an individual, he would see any jail time for the company that he's overseeing committing these felony acts. It's all been about give the paper up. He's like, I give a little paper. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, let's just get this done. Let's just get. I got a yacht to get on. Can we just? I got a 2:00 tea time. It's 1:48. You got 12 minutes of my time to get this done.
Anyway, so I just love that kind of stuff. Big shout out to Wall Street on Parade. I love that they have a stripped down website. They don't do interviews. It's just this husband and wife just in everybody's documents. Yeah. Anyway, so I did have another one here that I don't know. I admit I don't know anything about, but the headline was kind of shocking to me, and it speaks to an issue in a part of the world that I don't pay nearly enough attention to. But I just thought this was interesting. Reporting today from Naked Capitalism, militarized Japan and the Biden-Kishida summit signal moment in the new Cold War. So new Cold War, I thought was an interesting phrase, but so I don't know if you know anything about this summit or, but this is mostly news to me. While you were busy worrying about the war in Ukraine, the U.S. has been firming up commitments and resolve of an all too willing Japan to mix things up with China. While Japan has been trying to make nice with both sides economically, much like Germany, the presence of U.S. bases dictates loyalties. Even though the U.S. has been depicting China asserting more control over Taiwan as casus belli, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe someone else can explain that to me. An astute friend in the early 1990s predicted that the Senkaku Islands would be the trigger for World War III. This was a far-sighted call coming well before China had become a major industrial power. It's not hard to see, for instance, that a routine scuffle could be misrepresented as a major incident to justify escalation. So again, it's not much said here, and I don't pretend to know much more about it, but I just thought that this was an interesting headline and something that I would certainly like to learn more about. And I thought I would just bring it up here with you and the remixing community. If you
I don't know much
thoughts
about the individual story, but I think it's very interesting. I think because that Japan has played the role now since its defeat in World War II as being the basically the base, the place. Obviously, there's other places too, but like the place where the U.S. has established its military dominance in Asia. And Japan, you know, with the bases, and even the Japanese people at this point are for the most part fed up with U.S. bases and U.S. military personnel who have a history of committing rape and other crimes against Japanese citizens, but yet are for the most part protected. I think one base got moved to another island, but those bases do not go anywhere at this particular stage. And I do think that Japan is still looked upon as sort of like the forward spear of any U.S. war or intervention against China in that particular area. And you know, it's similar to Ukraine. I do see a situation that could develop. I don't know how likely it is, but it could develop that Japan does become that kicking off point. And so, you know, Japan has to worry to make sure that it is not used the way Ukraine is used for an expansion or a sort of a further struggle, particularly with China over the U.S. trying to maintain, or the West trying to maintain dominance all around the world, particularly in Asia.
Yeah, just to come back to this very quickly, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida comes to Washington on Friday, January 13th. Unlike Japan, his summit with President Joe Biden will not garner much press attention here in the United States, but it marks a signal moment in Japan's rise in military power and in the implementation of Biden administration's national security strategy. The strategy, which prioritizes Chinese and Russian challenges to the so-called rules-based order, a euphemism for U.S. primacy, which is rife with contradictions, prioritizes the centrality of alliances to U.S. global power, stating that our alliances and partnerships around the world are our most important strategic asset. So yeah, they're definitely trying to keep things tight to balance the Russia-China threat to U.S. hegemony. So that's deep. That's interesting.
And I think they might be trying to, similar like Germany has over the last decade. I think they're pushing Japan also to, and you know, whether or not Japan wants to do this, maybe it does at this stage, but to increase its spending on its own military, to make it more into a power, an Asian power, but not just economically. Japan's still, I think, the third largest economy in the world, the third or fourth largest economy in the world, but to make it now a power which has some military capacity, as long as it's under the direction and control of the West, which, you know, again, with the historic, let's say, disagreements, hatred, bloodshed between Japan and China, it seems fairly unlikely that Japan would ever fall into any sort of alliance with China. But of course, I think they prefer trade over anything else. But, you know, the West likes to push, and we'll see whether or not that pushing helps to put Japan in an envious position of where, again, it's being it's playing a frontal role in protecting mostly Western interests and not its own interest.
Right on. So I don't know if you had anything you wanted to get to. I know we got Ear Doctor coming back in just a couple minutes, but there's one silly thing and somewhat shamelessly self-promotional I wanted to invite people to check out, because I was just put on to a movie yesterday that I watched last night and then did a quick video about this morning. I don't know if you've seen the movie Tamango.
No.
Or heard of it, starring Dorothy Dandridge.
No.
So I want to encourage people to see the movie and then also to check the little video I did about it that's now, you know, up on the channel, and see what you all think, because I'm struck by, without spoiling anything, what has not changed in films depicting the history of enslavement, and what has changed, particularly in terms of technology, nuance, and sophistication, but not necessarily content. Anyway, I just want to encourage some of our audience, you know, folks in our audience, if you need a good movie or a movie to, I don't know, to shake things up, check out the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but
don't spoil it, but give us a little bit. So this is a movie about enslavement.
It's a film about.
If you put that cover back up,
yeah,
I mean, that is
so exactly. So this is, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So yes, okay. So the film is about, if you see in the background of the photo, they're on a ship. So the film is about a revolt of enslaved Africans on a ship, and the film is called Tamango. And Dandridge plays an enslaved, I think she's supposed to be actually a so-called mulatta. The issue of biracial and multiraciality comes up, complexion comes up, the issue of gender comes up. The issues surrounding revolt and rebellion come up, so she has an interesting relationship with the captain and the slave master, or the captain of the ship,
which, as the picture sort of depicts, it looks
suggests,
like yes.
And but what I'm struck by, first, what I was struck by, to be honest, is that I had not seen the movie before, and I had not really paid enough attention to Dandridge in her actual, you know, as an actual actress live, and, you know, beyond a historical figure. Mm-hmm. She remarkably beautiful and very good on screen. You know, I thought she was maybe even a better actress than I think she was given credit for in her time. But what I was really struck by is, the one thing I will say is that I think you get for instance, I will say this just to be a little petty and hateful, you get a better, I think, depiction of the issue of multiraciality and interracial relationships in this film than you get in Sankofa. I think you get, and then I'll leave it there for now. But I think what is different in this film, and as I said in the video, you get a better white body count in this than any of the films we've seen. So I don't think that's a spoiler to suggest, to say, like, so in other words, a film that was made in 1958 is in many ways a lot better than the movies we get today on the topic. And like, we have not evolved in terms of the content of films, you know, around this issue. And then similarly, as I try to point out, that the material conditions being masked by these films, and the times that these films come out, need to be something that we consider as well, and what difference has or has not occurred. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Shout out to Dr. Haight for putting me onto the movie. And I want to encourage, you know, as we start to, you know, think about films that tell these histories and how we can use them. And I think it's fascinating to juxtapose this film to films about this history today. Yeah, white body count, that is, the white victims. That's something I pay attention to. If we're watching these movies, you know, like the Nat Turner film, we get 90 minutes of black bodies being beaten, hung, destroyed. And when the rebellion takes off, no white people die on camera. You know, the same thing with The Woman King and all these other movies. White people are not getting killed on camera, but black people getting brutalized. And then, so with this film, so it's like we've gone backwards. like 1958 was gangster. Like, anyway, I'm just, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no. Don't, I mean, a little bit of a beeline with, like, Nate Parker. That's the dude, right? Who did his movies are so disappointing because they build them up as like these black-centered narratives, taking control, being about the power of black people or black men. Like, I saw that cop movie he did about when his son was killed by the police and he took over the police precinct. And I expected, I just expected, because of the way they did the trailer, I like, oh, he gonna be killing cops. He gonna be taking revenge. He's gonna be taking revenge.
They set us up. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and all through the movie, I am waiting for it. And he's like, "There's a trial. Like, what's happening here?" And the only one who gets shot at the end is him. I was like, "You wasted my." I was like an hour and a half of my life.
That's what I was with you on that. Exactly. Looking at the clock, like, when is it about to pop off? Okay, now it's about nope. Now it's about nope. And then, as you said, he the only one that gets dropped. It's ridiculous. Shame on anyway. Anyway, the only person we know who does drops right and gets the counts right is the ear doctor. We can always count on that.
Bam. If y'all want to see all that happening, y'all got to watch a Marvel flick. When the buildings collapse on them, that's about it. And stormtroopers in Star Wars.
But the context is different.
And they can hardly shoot.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only time the white body count counts is in these contexts, not in Marvel film. Everybody dies in Marvel, like all that stuff. That doesn't count.
And white people can always kill other white people.
Exactly.
The hero and the villain is white, so it's always
specifically when the topic is supposed to be black armed struggle and rebellion, and black people dropping all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as the rebellion happens, if it happens on screen, nobody dies. It's like nobody. It's like what?
I would say you got to watch some black exploitation like Truck Turner and stuff, but you still see.
No, you're right in the sense of like, and both
for the body count.
When you go back in time, the 70s was a much more, for all the faults of the black exploitation movies. Mm-hmm. The 70s and the late 60s was a much better time for black filmmaking that at least was unabashedly would put out, white folks dropping in certain ways. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you got to go back. I mean, somebody just what I was going to say, like, what is it, Django, whatever, what's the name?
Django.
Ooh,
Django.
Yeah. Django. It's like I guess that happened, but that seems such a
no. That's not. That doesn't. No, because the white boy kills DiCaprio. There's no white body count. There's no significant white body count in that movie.
There's not.
Not
yeah.
No. I'll go. No. No.
Yeah. I was just thinking. I was like, you're right.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick musical break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Once again, welcome out y'all to the Remix Morning Show.
It's the nigga. It's the nigga. You love to hate with a new song. So what really goes on? Nothing but a come up. But ain't that a bitch? They hate to see a young go bitch. But I refuse to switch even though. Cause I can't move to the snubber. As soon as y'all get some dough.
What y'all want to do?
You want to put a white bitch on shelf. Moving out your neighborhood. But I walk through the ghetto.
And what?
And the place looks good. Little kids jumping on.
But you
want to be white and corn. Living way out. Nigga, go home. Spray painted on your house.
LeBron James.
Trying to be white or a Jew. But ask yourself, who are they to be equal to? Get the hell out. Stop being a Uncle Tom, you little sellout.
MC and my people call me Milk. When I'm busting up a party, I feel no guilt. Gizmo's cutting up for the suckers that's down with me.
Come on.
The one of us, that's how I feel. To be down, you must appeal to the two. We're rated R, we're gifted, and we're going for
Come on.
down
Come
the
on.
road.
Where?
To
Come
the
on.
bank.
Let's go.
While
Let's
I'm
go.
here,
Let's go.
I'd like to thank
Who?
Mom and Dad, they knew the time. Gizmo scratching, Milky's rhyming, Milk is chilling, Giz is chilling.
What more can I say?
Top billing.
Word, that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. Get y'all into the mood. The Remix Morning Show, y'all. Now let's get back to our host with the most. Let's go.
Yo, that Carl Thomas joint is still bananas. That brought me back to the oh man, it's probably one of the last, I don't know, man. One of the last times I remember getting some good mixtapes. DJ Clue had a remix of that one summer when I was in New York, and I forgot who was rhyming on it though. But they did a remix of that joint. I want to say it was Cameron. But anyway, Carl Thomas, man, it was love at first sight.
He used to be in a party like, oh!
That joint was crazy. But then hearing it as a married man with children, I was like, wait a minute. Because he's in there talking about.
I wish I never met her.
I never met her because she's happily married with children.
Children.
And then he's over there talking about, what about me? And I'm like, what about you, mother? You over there home wrecking. Lucky you don't get. No, but anyway, that joint was fire.
He's trying to be a side piece.
Yeah.
The hilarious part is, I was taken with the top billing part of the mix. Because I was like, yo, that is one of still the top 10 hip-hop songs of all time. You cannot throw that song on without everybody jumping up.
That's true.
When that came out, that was just the jam. And it's retained. That beat is retained throughout decades of like, as soon as that comes on, everybody is just like, yo, and everybody knows the lines. Some semblance of the lines. Everybody knows that.
And Ice Cube, true to the game. I ain't gonna front. I didn't like Tupac music until I heard him over East Coast beats, and that's why I was like, man, he's spitting. Yeah. Because I couldn't take those West Coast beats.
He's slightly overrated.
I think.
Slightly.
Honestly, I'd have to agree. I don't think there's any Pac verse that I don't think he's venerated for his political and cultural value more than the quality, I think, of his lyrics. And I agree with you, Ear Doctor, on the beats. I was like, this is trash.
Yeah.
This is trash. Please take it back to the East Coast.
Slightly overrated.
You got a lot of people now feeling that.
Die for Pac beat.
You ain't lying.
No question.
You know what I'm saying? You can't, I couldn't go into a certain neighborhood if somebody knew I said that, the way people felt about Pac at one point. I was like, wow.
Hey, I have a vivid memory of being at a Frostburg State University party, and Hail Mary dropped, and I remember sitting there next to the DJ table as watching everybody zone out, and I remember thinking, this ain't as good as people think it is.
Oh, in the background. Yo, in the background.
You're going to lose all our subscribers.
Like, yeah, all right. It's like, put some Biggie on. Yeah, I remember that. I do have that. I remember that. I was like, oh, they love this. It's all right.
I know.
People going to hate this too, but Pac's best song was California Love. Produced by Dre.
Nah, old school.
No,
what more can I say? It must be here today if the old school didn't.
Hit 'em Up is better than both of those. Hit 'em Up, I like Hit 'em Up, and I like the one where he did over that White Boys beat, that White Boys song. Changes. The song was
There's no
changes.
Yeah.
That's in the background playing Pac. She
like, word.
That's her rebellion. She like, I'm gonna get them copyright strikes. I'm gonna play Pac in the background all day. I hear you. Go ahead and get. I'm not mad at you.
Let me put my mute button on.
I didn't know she was that much of a thug, man. Well,
when I first met, I think she was playing. She picked me up from the airport, our second meeting, and put the tape in. It was 8 Ball. I was like,
who are you?
I was like, Zach. I was like, who's the little Ethiopian woman with the 8 Ball?
Having had the pleasure of meeting your wife, I would have been shocked by that too. That's shocking. Wow. And she does not give, Pac and 8 Ball vibe.
No. Not until you live with her, then you know.
Okay, all right.
But it's that Memphis. Growing up in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? That's what does it to you.
I mean, but think about it. Ice Cube had to come get some music from the Bomb Squad when it comes to like the East Coast
sounded
production.
better. He never sounded better.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, Ice Cube is underrated as when doing his short political stint.
Definitely. That's the tip. That was it.
Yeah. I mean, when Ice Cube dropped some stuff, it was just like, oh, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like he for a little bit, I expected something else. I thought he was going to go in a certain direction, but again, he came back looking for that money. But for a while there, you know, that he did those 2 albums, I guess Death Certificate, and there's one other. Like he dropped them back to back when he got really political. It was like, okay, let's do this. He's doing it. He's doing it.
Yeah, I remember having hope for him post NWA.
He got down with PE for a minute.
Yeah, Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
Man, Ice Cube down with the PE. Now every single want to see me. Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah.
But
you know, then he went back to We Be Clubbing.
Are we there yet? Nah.
Exactly. He started making children's movies.
No, and I had the cliche moment because my kids were like, for years, that's all they knew about him. And then they saw him, and I was watching something, and I was something about NWA. They were like, "Isn't that the father from that movie?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like.
But he just dropped the Mount Westmore with E40, Too Short, and what is it? Snoop. So they just dropped the album.
You said
Too Short is garbage.
Yeah, they dropped it. They dropped it.
No, you said just dropped it.
Yeah, about a couple months ago.
No one cares. No one cares anymore.
Exactly.
No one cares anymore.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but those are like the heads of the state of the West Coast. When you talk about Too Short, E40, the Bay Area, that whole sound.
No. Too Short doesn't get up there as an all-timer.
Snoop and Ice Cube.
Snoop and Ice Cube. Yeah. But
you ain't saying Too Short. Too Short been around and E40 for the longest. It's still doing it.
Too Short has been garbage for the longest. Zero classics, zero quality lyrics, and just constant trash. And then he comes out about 10 years ago and does the whole thing of where he's telling kids in school. He was actually because we talked about it in my class. He was talking about literally when you feel the need, grab up a girl and, you know, do what you got to do. So like he's encouraging.
Yeah, he always been on that.
He's a mess. Dude is just. Ugh.
Well, just musically, I'd never. Maybe it was the West Coast thing, but he as they go, I just never saw him as like a top. But I know he's got legend status. He's well respected in West Coast game, but I can't. He's not on their Mount Rushmore. I can't.
Now I'm bugging. Somebody who said I'm bugging. Semantic said I'm bugging. Hey, that's fine. If you like to look, yes, permanently. If you were in Too Short's camp, we're not on the same team. I am bugging. So I'm happy to be bugging.
And shout out. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say the best West Coast MCs I think are actually all those the underground folks like Medusa and the now I can't even remember the whole like the
Roscos.
Sure, but I'm even thinking of like now I'm completely going blank.
Planet Asia.
Dilated Peoples, Planet Asia, like that community, that whole crew, and there's a bunch more that I'm forgetting, but that's where I think we would have to go. So hieroglyphics, right on, all of them. Like how you need. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and shout out to my man Rick Rock, who I used to be in a rap group with. He out there doing it up for the Yay area.
Far side, right on. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, it's all good. All good. So big up to all them out there. But yeah, that's it.
Delta Funk. Thank you,
Delta Funk.
My memory is gone. That's what I'm talking about.
Casual, the hieroglyphics.
Murs. I thought, why did I think Murs is Chicago though? I thought
he was West Coast.
Oh, my bad. Good. Murs, right on.
Yes.
Paris.
Man, I saw Dilated Minister Server. I saw Dilated Peoples in Amsterdam in one of the best spots where you could hear everything. Babu, and they wrapped it up with they closed the joint with My People Come First. When worst comes to worst, my peoples come first. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful night.
I like Paris, but Paris is also overrated, man. The Panther. Yeah.
political. I like his politics.
He stayed in one lane, and that was it. It was like he couldn't talk about nothing else.
You can't.
And then he wrote Chuck D's lyrics in that one album. That whole and years ago I did an interview with Chuck about it, and I asked him. I was like, come on, like, what's up? And he said, no, my voice is my gift. So he said, just like Charlie Parker would play something on a saxophone that someone else wrote, I can rhyme something that someone else wrote. And I didn't say anything at the time because it's Chuck D, but I'm like, that don't work for me. That's not the same.
I'm down with him on that. I'm down. I'm too much purist. You got to write and rhyme your own. The voice. Sometimes it's the voice itself.
It is.
It's the ability to kick the rhyme. Just because you can write it, don't mean you can recite it. You know what I'm saying?
But I need
Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I always say Prince is better than Michael Jackson. Prince wrote all this stuff.
I'm saying though, everybody can't deliver.
Well, I'm just saying that's what I think. I can't. When it comes to emceeing, I don't want to hear somebody rhyming someone else's lyrics unless you're doing some sort of tribute or something. I want your thoughts.
And speaking of West Coast, they just named Kendrick Lamar the rapper of this generation. So that's another West Coast rapper of this generation. This dude is like a thespian. I mean, this dude, you see his performance. His performance, he got poetry, he got dancers, he got still art. I mean, it's I'm telling you, so his whole performance is like Broadway.
I can't say. I don't listen enough to it, so I can't say much about.
Yeah,
I did listen to his last album. I just can't. I'm not. It didn't.
It's no repeat. You can't. You listen to it once, you like, all right.
A word is
that's not a good sign, though. If you're the artist of a generation. And I didn't mean, by the way, Fly Society and shout out again to ODB on your graphic there. But I'm not saying, I didn't mean cover a rap song. I meant like if you're doing like like when Jay-Z does a half of Biggie verse in one of his verses, like something like that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying, but because that's just a shout out. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't know why that bothers me so much. It just does. I don't know.
I mean,
teamwork make a dream work. Sometimes that's the whole production thing is about. You got certain people that's the Quincy Joneses and all the instrumentation.
Well, did Chuck write his lyrics? When he was PE frontman, he wrote his own thing, right?
As far as I know, I hope so. I would hate to find out later on that he didn't.
No, I would also because yeah.
Ooh, that would hurt.
Heroes of hip hop.
Say that again.
Remember Disposable Heroes of Hip Hop?
I do remember that name. I don't remember any of the music though. But
they had one good album, but he always, I don't know why I kicked in my head, but he just reminded me of he was always a poor man's Chuck D. But he had that one album that kind of was like medium level successful, but they got critical acclaim or whatever. I just had to say I remember. Yeah.
No, I
ain't never heard of him.
Yeah. What?
You never heard that? Oh, I've never heard of him. I've definitely heard of him.
It's too much other good hip hop.
Wow.
I just bypassed it while I was looking at records. Like,
just like there's nothing I can use here. You can throw this out.
No hot singles, nothing. But that's what it is, man. That's our musical break for right now. I will catch y'all tomorrow. We didn't make 275, so
we still got time. We still got 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes.
Y'all talk about some news. We might get some more people. So let me get out of here.
We're 11 away from 275. 11 away from getting a fat remix at the end. We want to thank everybody for joining us. We haven't got any super chats today. Not one piece of dough. Not one piece of dough.
Shame.
You know what I'm saying? Not one, not even $1. Not 50 cents. Nobody's put nothing on it. Exactly. Somebody's got to put something on it. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want me to get better shirts, y'all want me to get some BPM gear, you know what I'm saying? You want me to get a car sticker that says BPM? Something.
That's
y'all
what we need.
We
need some bumper stickers. That's what
some bumper stickers.
Some decals. There was one thing I just wanted to raise with you in the audience real quick, and then before we get to any other stories, is I was hoping Kim would be here today because I actually have a question about. I don't think you watch the sort of liberal left media environment enough to know this, Kamal, but I've been noticing there's been a return of a dust up of that topic of force the vote. Do you remember that from a couple of a year or so ago? and I'm trying to determine who's on what side, and I'm not paying enough attention to actually answer my own question. So I was just wondering if any of you were up on the latest of what the force to vote issue is and who's on what side of that issue. And that's it. I don't have any more on that. So if I was just curious. I just keep seeing it in scroll past, but I'm not actually clicking and watching any of this stuff. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I thought that, somebody's, here come the money, by the way. Thank you. I'm not a politician. I'm not about religion. I'm an Israelite. Don't call me black no more. That word is only a color. It ain't facts no more. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's his new thing?
He's an Israelite now. Okay. Wow. There you go. There you go, Kamal. Dag.
No, wait, you guys wait till you get to Zenzele.
Aggressive panhandling works.
That's what I'm talking about.
Kamal's shirt fun. Throw some color in that collection. Thank you. Thank you,
My favorite
Zenzabel.
colors are blue and black.
Blue and black.
Yeah, I can't, everything else looks, this weird colorization on me. Everything else looks weird.
I wasn't going to do anything with Brianna. I'm not aware. The only thing the closest thing that I'm aware of is that someone that she knows recommended me for a topic she wanted to discuss, and I never got the call, and I'm not aware that the topic got covered. So, but I don't know.
Interested in how they break down though. Like, so I see this new, like obviously white. I'm gonna call it white leftist type of media, and then they're having their own infighting around, I guess, how far some of them are going to support the Democratic Party, and there's obviously some that's like the Young Turks are on the side of supporting the squad and so forth, but still believe in whatever the political system or voting works, and then there's these other folks on the other side of it that want to call out, and I'm probably more on their edge anyway, at least in some of those politics where they're calling out U.S. Imperialism more, but I don't. Then there's some of it just seems like the interceding warfare that maybe raises money for these guys. Like when Jimmy Dore goes after the Young Turks and they have all these little inside fights and stuff like that, calling these people out. I don't know that works as a gimmick or a scheme. So obviously maybe some of that is legitimately different politics. But they do have these big platforms, relatively speaking, of 100,000 people and all that kind of stuff. So it's always interesting. And then there's always a few black folks sprinkled in who represent like either a new fresh face or who's now in part of these wars or whatever. So it's always just, I don't follow it that closely. Doing this Stop Cop City stuff, I've gotten folks from some of that community reach out a little bit more, wanting to cover the story. So I always think it's just interesting that kind of that interceding warfare of like white lefty things. Thank you. Yep.
White guilt. Thank you, Franny.
Appreciate that. We need some more guilt. I appreciate that. So more. Let's keep it going. $10 here, $10 there, $10 everywhere.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Yipper. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the quick updates in the chat and from you, Kamal. Thank you very much. I just, right. So Sam Cedar is against that. Brianna is for pushing it. I think I'm with you on that. Like anything that's gonna sound like a challenge and upset some folks, I'm down for that. Like, and my thing with the healthcare
is it like, are they looking at what the Republicans did on their right wing flank and saying the Democrats could have done that too? Is that what the fight is in terms of?
Well, as I understood it, when I was paying more attention to it the last go around the healthcare issue, I agreed with Jimmy Dore on that point. I thought he was right.
V. It means a lot.
Did we miss one?
You started the charge.
Oh, my bad. Did we miss one? I'm sorry, V. Oh, there it is. My bad, V.
And just to know, I don't put those up on the screen, V. That's not me.
No, Kamal's never do it. It's either me or Ear Doctor, and I missed that one. Sorry, V. Kamal's innocent on that one. My bad. Don't he's not guilty for everything.
Brooklyn, you just keep giving me $1, V. You need to give up some more dollars. some more.
And the pound ain't worth what it used to, is right? Isn't it worth less than $1 now? You give us like 80 cents now. Come on, V.
Come on, V. Don't take it back, though. Don't take it back.
Don't take it back. No, right. We take it 80 cents, 75 cents, 90 cents, whatever. But yeah, no. So with the healthcare thing, I thought what I understood Jimmy to be advocating, and I agreed with, and Breonna too at the time, was at minimum you should force the vote and get people on the record saying I'm not supporting universal health care, so they could at least be condemned, chastised. It could heighten the contradictions, whatever you want. I was like, yeah. Like, you know, and AOC and them used to promise, like before she got elected, I will, no matter what, force a vote at minimum, make them. She used to say that. So, I was like, okay. But I don't know what the latest issue is. So I just saw it coming up again. I saw, and then I just wasn't sure. Anyway, because it's not just Breonna and Sam Cedar. There's like some other folks I saw, so I was just curious. I don't know. And then there's all these other ones popping up. These other. So it's just interesting.
And I could be mistaken about what I think the force to vote thing is also, again, because I've not followed, but I have seen chatter, particularly through Twitter, again about the fact that when the left had a chance to challenge Nancy Pelosi in terms of her tight, when Biden won, and I guess they retook the House. And then there was this idea that they had a chance to force concessions from Pelosi, that they didn't do it to the level that we're now seeing with the Republicans. In fact, they got scared off when they were told they would lose committee seats or not get them, or they wouldn't get the money from the financing of the Democratic Party, or the fact that folks like AOC, for at least for a small time period, seemed to be suggesting that she would support candidates who were not in the Democratic mainstream, and then that caused more, pullback in terms of them pulling her back and saying, "Yo, you better get in line." And again, she never seemed to me well read enough to be a serious leftist in terms of what her politics are. But that people come in for where they are. But she definitely has taken a turn where she's digging all of that sort of Hollywood celebrity or celebrity as a representative and appearing at the balls and making the political messages that you still appear at the balls and all that kind of stuff, like that's like doing some shit. So I think all that stuff, has soured her, at least in terms of that particular community, let's say.
Okay, right on. Thank you. I appreciate that. And shout out to JM. And what I like about JM also is that they don't want nothing. Just here's some money. I don't have nothing to say. I'm not, I got no comment. I don't want nothing from you. Just here's some money. Keep it moving. Appreciate that. I like that. Thank you very much. Anyway, anything you want to get to before we wrap up?
But the only story I really wanted to cover, which was sort of it's not that old per se, but I wanted to get back to your boy in New York for a moment, who's always causing damage, and it's like the worst ever in terms of what Black representation politics. This like a complete, just somebody who shows, like as my mama would say, who shows their ass over and over again, and who's so proud of it. So New York City Public Libraries say proposed budget cuts may push us over the edge. So as usual, Eric Adams is planning multiple budget cuts to everything but the police. So under the administration, so-called a program to eliminate the gap, city libraries could face a total of $13.6 million in reductions for the current fiscal year and $20 million over the next 3 fiscal years. This is a story that Kim brought up, and the response from the library is that we have become more efficient, but at some point you get to the bone, said Tony Marks, president and CEO of New York City Public Library. This may push us over the edge. Library leaders argued that their institutions provide vital services, of course. I didn't want to go deep into the story, but it just continues to push towards what's happening in New York, where we are back at the stage again where these moderate Democrats come on in their fancy suits, just yelling at the top of their lungs, so proud to be in this particular office, and just have no politics whatsoever except to serve the developer class, to serve the corporate class, and to keep the what I call the public army of those classes, the police, well geared up, well financed. There's never a question about cutting them. And he continually cuts social service stuff from the budget, and then talks about why there are issues of like either public safety or the rest of it or whatever. Because I mean, you're slashing the budget out of everything else.
But Kamau, again, I feel I have to be the voice of reason on this platform, all you lunatic leftists, because clearly, of all the institutions causing problems and plaguing our society, it's the goddamn libraries. That if we could just get rid of these damn libraries with their near free book checking and reading and copying and computer use and access to the poor, for the poor, and meeting space for organizations and groups and communities. How dare get them out of here so we could get back to the good governance of that we need. And you also left out that Eric Adams has had at least one, if not two, hip hop summits. So he's met with the rappers. He met with the drill rappers. So Kamau, damn it, I'm not going to have you up here blaspheming against the people's mayor in the Radical Republic of New York. In the People's Republic of New York City. How dare you? No, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's the same thing. And we just did that the interview the other day with Clara Matai about her work on austerity, and it really,
which is a great interview. Yeah.
And a fun one. I know you enjoyed the Diallo exchange as well. Kamau was here for the popcorn and the debate, but her basic point that this is all euphemism for attacking poor people and abusing working people is just that. So because clearly he's right. I mean, those libraries are just plaguing us. So I hope everybody's taking note, and let's get rid of these things, and then we'll have more resources for everybody, including, as you say, the police. Most importantly, the police. And again, it's that false dichotomy of we have to take away from you and a service from you so that we can afford. We're just really barely hanging on here as New York City. You know what I'm saying? We're barely hanging on.
If we don't get that 13 million from the public library system, all of New York City is going.
What would we do? That's it, right? That was it, right? 13 million. That's the difference. That's what is that like? I know he's not mayor anymore, but what is that? That's like Bloomberg's weekend spending money. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's crazy.
New York City that has a budget bigger than probably half the countries in the world, right? So
right. No, exactly. No question. But you can't. Anyway, got to get.
And I'm always like, who does this play to when they do this? Is there really these conservative or moderate nuts out there that buy into the rhetoric that if we get rid of these places, like you said, these things are a waste of money, or they're like, who? I'd never get, again, some right-wing rhetoric. I understand what the dog meat is for, the red meat is for, in terms of like getting your folks online or getting them to be like, yeah, that's right, hate this one or do this one. I get some of that, you know what I mean? But I just don't understand who buys into that part around. I guess maybe it fits into a larger network of things that they throw in there, that if we cut the waste and spending here, then we can do all this other stuff, that we want to do. But that's all, for me, that's always like one of the weird ones. It's like, who does that rhetoric appeal to in terms of what's happening in places, not just New York, but in other places too? Like
I think
$12 billion budget, New York NYPD would be the 7th largest military if it were a country. Thank you for that.
But it's that 13 million though. That's You know, but honestly, I do think there are a handful of people that are appealed to by that message. But I really do think it is more likely part of a conscious effort just to manage the narrative, to just keep pulling the narrative over, and to make people, even for a half second, turn over in their head this whole thing of we have to take it away to pay for this. Like even if you consider it for a moment, it's got to be considered a victory, because it's just even before you can get to, oh, wait a minute. It's like that moment where you have to, where you think of Jesus and have to consciously remind yourself that he wasn't white.
Yeah.
That's the victory. Even if you get to the black part,
the
victory is they've already won, because you've had to stop. You've had to make that hurdle. And I think that's what this is for. It's just to say, to make you go, you know, to make someone like us have to put in the effort to actually say what we've said, that this is an absurd.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that's definitely part of the narrative. Yeah. And so again, it makes us folks like us. Oh damn no! Whose idea was that? Was that? Put it back up. Who put that up there? Put that back up. Let me see.
That's what.
It's not a bad picture of me, actually. You know what I'm saying? And I do have that jacket.
I'm saying that's why all this stuff about you being out there, activists and marching and all that, that's what he's really doing. That's what he's really doing. All this Cop City shit is cap. Now it's sitting out there on the corner with his "Give Me Money" box. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. That's it, PLE. That's it, because you didn't plug BPM. That's it. Punishment.
Punishment, exactly.
Punishment. Good job. I love it. Whoever was that an Ear Doctor production? That was quick. Things get done. Things happen.
You know it.
Things happen fast around here. They should have never gave you niggas Photoshop.
Come out wants money. It's I won't plug.
And sounds
here, ain't I?
Sounds the same elsewhere. Please send links and stuff for this Supreme Court story or some context, and maybe we can get to it tomorrow with the crew. I'm not sure what is meant by the Supreme Court story you want us to cover.
I don't know either. Oh, but before we do go, I do want to plug. We have an upcoming rally. I won't plug BPM. We have an upcoming rally. I won't plug. Where is this thing at?
And that is the plug. BPM won't be there.
I'll be there, so BPM will be there.
But you don't acknowledge that.
Will they?
Will.
What I'll do is, as soon as I always say this, hopefully I'll follow through. As soon as I get off, I'm going to say, bang, I'm going to buy me a BPM t-shirt so I can wear it to the rally.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? So, Stop Cop City rally against injustice on Dr. King's birthday. We're demanding that the charges get dropped against the forest defenders. The 6 of them, as noted before, they are charged with domestic terrorism. It is the DeKalb County DA who is the lead district attorney on this matter. We need folks, if you are in Atlanta, to come out. We're going to have folks coming up from Cooperation Jackson, from Mississippi, who are coming out to this. We need at least 200 people. So if you're in the chat on Twitter, we're going to put it back up again. We got some other folks endorsing. We need folks to come out. This is on Dr. King's, I guess, holiday, as they say. The day that's dedicated to service. I put up something that was like, look, and I know we've all talked about this, how Dr. King's image has been stolen. And so on the day that they tell you to pick up trash and to feed hot meals, really should be a day that you study and do what Dr. King was doing, which was challenging capitalism, fighting U.S. imperialism, and fighting against white supremacy. Dr. King was in them streets, organizing around political power. He was not dedicated to service as the way in which we make change. Just to let y'all know that.
Facts and bars. Just very quickly, the 16th is also my oldest birthday, so go celebrate my daughter's birthday by supporting Cop City's protests, and all that good stuff. So shout out to you all for doing that. And there was something else I wanted to say, and I just slipped my mind. So it's It's your loss, everybody.
Mark
'cause it was
Lamont
gonna be
Hill.
Jim.
Tell him about Lamont
Oh,
Hill.
that's
hosting.
right, Mark Lamont Hill. Oh, we should. You had to come on tomorrow.
So I might be able to do that. We'll have to double check on that. So stay tuned.
I'm not sure if
Maybe
I'm a fan of Mark. Let me just put that out. Let me start the conversation for tomorrow. I got some issues with this dude who never responds. I know people who know him, who told me to reach out to him, who've done introductions, and this dude refuses to respond. I don't know if he's on the other side of the divide in terms of what he's heard about me, if he knows anything about me, but I'm getting a little peeved that, like, what, you supposed to be Mr. Left? We got left things to discuss.
I'll see him Saturday, and that will be first order of business.
Yeah.
What's up
and
with
if he
Kamal?
does a who's Kamal, and nigga lying.
If he hits me with if he hits me with the Mariah Carey response, who's the Kamal? If he hits me with the diva response, I'll check him. How can he not know Kamal?
Check.
But no, that was what I was going to say. You mentioned Cooperation Jackson. I think we should get an update from them as well. I think it's been too long since I know I've heard from them. I think it'd be great to hear from them on this platform as well. So shout out to all of you for doing that work. And shout out to the remixers for being here. And we expect to see you all and more of you back tomorrow morning and checking out all the great work being posted on the platform. So get busy, people. Get to clicking, get to watching, get to sharing, like that, and send some more money so Kamal can get out the doghouse. There you go. All right, everybody. Like Fred Hampton used to say, peace if you're willing to fight for it. Catch you tomorrow right here at the Remix Morning Show.
Hey.